Hi, my name's Joe Miller and I'm a professional tutor based in London. Over the past 5 years, I've helped lots of students successfully get into Oxford, and it's also the university that I studied at for my Masters, so I have a good insight into what it takes to get in. The purpose of this video is to give you some generic strategies on how to get into Oxford as an undergraduate student. So this is targeting students perhaps in the final or penultimate year of school and who are thinking about potentially applying to Oxford. It's important to note that Oxford is one of the best universities in the world, and therefore it has a very low acceptance rate of around 10 to 15%, depending on the course that you apply to. It's worth noting that given Oxford is one of the best universities in the world, it has a uniquely low acceptance rate of around 10 to 20%, depending on the course. Yet here at the Profs, 55% of our Oxford candidates have been made offers. Before I get into the generic strategies, it's important to note that we have lots of other videos on specific courses at Oxford that you should certainly watch before applying. This video is just for generic strategies on how you should approach applying to Oxford. So tip number 1, know the requirements of the course you're applying to. Unlike other universities, which have pretty similar requirements course to course, Oxford's course requirements vary greatly. Some require just an application and an interview, others require you to submit written work and even complete tests. It's therefore really important that you research the course in detail using their webpage. My advice to most candidates is begin this process early, ideally around the Easter of year 12, your penultimate year of study. And my other advice is get in touch with the admissions team at Oxford. It's important you don't pester them or become a burden or ask silly questions like what are my chances of getting in. But it is a good idea to get in touch with the department or the admissions team so that you know for sure what the requirements are. On this topic, it's also really important that you pick a course that plays to your strengths. As an economics tutor, I get inundated every year with students who want to study economics and management. Why? Because they associate this with making lots of money and working in the city and whatever else. But actually, most companies employ you based upon where you've studied, not what you've studied. And for many students, there's a much easier route to getting into Oxford than going for a course like economics and management that is super competitive. So it's important that you really think this through and perhaps even work with a tutor like me to come up with a strategy that will actually maximise your chances based on your strengths, no one else's. My second tip is don't become so preoccupied by the applications process that you forget the fundamental #1 most important aspect to getting into Oxford, and that's your academic profile, your grades. So many students become fixated on entering the John Locke essay competition and doing extra work at school and writing an amazing personal statement, and that's all great, but they become so focused on this that they end up losing out and getting lower predicted grades. Oxford put a huge amount of emphasis on your predicted grades. Work with your school or a tutor like me to boost them. Oxford will also go deeper into your past and look at your GCSEs or equivalent. That's not to say that if you have poor GCSE or equivalent grades, you shouldn't apply. But it's worth noting, if you're a younger student watching this video, that these grades that you're working towards now could be really important for an Oxford application in the future. It's worth noting at this point in the video, if you're an international student not taking the A-level or IB, it's really important that you go onto Oxford's International Entry Requirements webpage, where you can see the actual breakdown of requirements for your specific country. Again, if you're unsure, either get in touch with us, leave a comment in this video and we'll try to get back to you, or, as I said in my tip #1, get in touch with the admissions team at Oxford. They're very useful, they're always happy to help. My generic strategy #3 is remember who your audience is. When you're applying to Oxford, the admissions team that read your applications are academics. I always go to the extreme with my clients. I tell them all, imagine that the person reading your statement and your application is an older person that perhaps has worked on this subject, researched this subject, taught this subject for 50 years. They are obsessed with this subject. They therefore want to see your enthusiasm for the subject. They want to see niche areas, subfields within the subject that you're interested in. They want to see that you've gone beyond just your school syllabus or beyond what your school have done with you. You've actually gone outside. You've developed this super curricular portfolio, as we call it. I can't stress this enough. Students who go to great schools, elite private schools, maybe grammar schools that get lots of students into Oxbridge, they often fall into the trap of thinking that everything they've done at school is enough. It's not. Oxford will compare you directly to your peers at school. Oxford can award contextual offers as well. And therefore, it's really important that you do whatever you can to stand out beyond your peers. So this might be doing a research assistantship. It might be going to a public lecture at a department event at Oxford. I do this with lots of my students. It might be connecting with a PhD or master's student. Every year I connect my Oxford applicants with current PhDs so that they can get an insight into what research at that level really looks like. It might be going to a museum. Perhaps you're applying to archaeology and anthropology, and therefore you want to attend a museum and find an artefact to talk about. If you're applying to E&M, you might perhaps do an internship relevant. Of course, you need to do readings, research, maybe essay competitions as well. All of these super curricular activities are going to lay the groundwork for you to write a great personal statement. Of course, this year, great set of motivation answers. Working with me or a subject tutor like me will consist a lot of this. We will help you build the supercurricular portfolio. We'll do this with our own knowledge of the subject, our own knowledge of the course and the syllabus at Oxford, and then our own network. We have such an extensive network of old students, successful applicants, that we can connect you directly to people at Oxford. My fourth generic strategy is to pay particular attention to whether there is an admissions test that you need to complete as part of your application. It's really important to consider this because the Oxford deadline is always early, usually in October, and you should absolutely prepare for this admissions test. I'm aware that lots of schools tell their students, and some websites even tell students, that you can't prepare for these tests. They're designed for people to show up and show the way that they think. This is simply not true. Preparing for these tests is really important. Even just practicing them, doing past papers, familiarising yourself with the content and the style of question can really help you on the day. Given the early deadline that Oxbridge have, Oxford and Cambridge, it's important that you start preparing early. You ideally want to start thinking about this in the Easter of your penultimate year, so that after your mocks in the summer, you have lots of time to really revise and prepare for your admissions test. Find out about which test you need to sit on the Oxford course page websites. We also have information on that in a blog post that we've put together on how to get into Oxford. And of course, if you're ever in doubt, get in touch with us or get in touch with the admissions team at Oxford. My fifth and final generic strategy is prepare for your interview. Oxford typically interview candidates after they've sat the tests in around about December. This is prior to the Christmas break. Oxford hire a large number of students. Year on year, this is around about 45% of applicants are interviewed. About 10,000 students each year are interviewed at Oxford. It's important to note that this is different to other interviews, perhaps interviews that you might have done for pre-university insight days or internships, or even part-time jobs that you might have alongside your A-levels or IB. The Oxford interview is by a subject specialist. There are two things that the interviewers really want to see in this process. The first is that you're enthusiastic about your subject. You've gone way beyond the high school curriculum and explored your subject. You've not just done readings online and you've not just done research, you've actually gone out of your way, you've committed time and you've invested in learning about this subject. And the way to do that is to show that you have niche interests in sub-areas. Look at the Oxford course, look at the sub-areas. You know, if you're applying to economics and management, what specific fields within management are you interested in? HRM, operations, accounting and finance, you find something that is a real interest to you. The second thing they're really looking for is that you can be taught. You're a fast learner. And so it's quite common in this interview that the interviewer will get you to the point where you simply don't know the answer anymore, and they will then teach you something. And it's important that you can, in that moment, learn what they've taught you and then apply it to the next question you're asked. This is why preparing for an interview at Oxford is so important. If you work with a subject specialist, someone like me, we can help you learn what you need for the interview. We can ask you realistic questions that you're going to be asked so that you are prepared. And we can get you to that important point that the interview is likely to get you to, where you simply don't know the answer anymore. And you are therefore taught something and you need to learn on the spot and apply it. This is valuable preparation, and I would urge anyone that gets through to an Oxford interview to prepare in this way. Ultimately, Oxford is one of the best universities in the world and has been since it was founded almost 1,000 years ago. Every year, more than 20,000 students from around the world apply and are unsuccessful. Therefore, it's super important that you start this process early. You're strategic in your course selection, playing to your own strengths, not those of your friends or your family or even your school, your own strengths. And that you have a clear plan. You know what is included in your application process, and you have a clear plan, a schedule of when you need to do each thing. That's really important and is ultimately the structure that we give our clients when working with them. As always, if you found this video useful, please do like and subscribe. If you have any pressing questions, please leave a comment below and we'll do our best to get back to you quickly. If you or any of your friends want one-to-one support, please do use the information on screen now so that we can find a tutor suitable for you. Otherwise, good luck with your applications.